Okay. Oh,
Got recording for the prelude. I do Whoever You Are. I try to lead the hymn, and I try to play the Spirit of Life and the other stuff.
okay, sounds good. Have you had any nibble?
Not really. We had some applications, but it hasn't progressed. I'm getting worried that we're going to start the new year without a music.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you do what you have to do, I guess. I thought maybe there'd be another good candidate from a student at BG or something. Well, where did Mickey go? Did she finish her schooling or?
No, she's writing the dissertation. She
Oh,
works for the parent company of the symphony,
oh,
so she did have that other job
yeah, okay,
that is primarily giving her time to write.
sure, yeah.
Aaron, remember to wait for the slide. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
She does, yes, I hear her. Good morning. Welcome to this open-minded, open-hearted spiritual community. We're happy to have you with us this morning. We extend an especially warm welcome to those of you who are visiting today. Please take note of the cards in the hymn rack in front of you. We invite you to complete this card, the little yellow card, with your contact information, and we will send you our weekly e-news to let you know of all the happenings and activities and ways for you to become involved here at church. You are welcome to take home the little chalice card that you will see. It's a chalice quilt like you see behind me. And there is also a donation envelope if you feel moved to make a donation to us. And we would be very grateful for that generosity. There are a number of announcements today. The first is that you might know that we are between music directors. Well, we continue the search for a new church musician. If you're musically inclined, you're invited to play an anthem and hymn on Sundays, or prepare the complete music for the service. Today, you get a mixture of video and Reverend Tim on guitar. Please make this rare So spread the word that we're hiring a church musician. Contact Reverend Tim if you'd like to perform and accompany on August 7th, August 28th, or September 4th. These slots are still open. We're also searching for a new bookkeeper, by the way. It's a very part-time job, but it demands particular skills centered on nonprofit business, and it helps us as a safeguard for the bookkeeper not to be otherwise connected to the congregation. If you know of any interested people, please have them contact the church office. And this coming Wednesday is the monthly blanket making activity supporting Leading Families Home in Fellowship Hall from 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. You're asked to bring sharp scissors if you have them, and you might also give time to go out to lunch with the group after the blankets are made. Contact Mary Souther if you'd like more information. And tomorrow evening, Multi-Faith Council of Northwest Ohio is sponsoring a fundraiser through the Panera restaurant on Talmadge Road. Panera will donate 20% of the total net sales of purchase from 4 to 8 p.m. You simply need to show a paper or digital copy of this paper to show to the cashier as you order your food and check out. And you get a night off from cooking. So if you'd like to take a photo of this after the service and use it tomorrow, you are welcome to do so. And the last announcement is that the annual rummage sale, also known as the Hoarder Downsizing Sale, has an official date, Saturday, September 10th. If you are ready to declutter, now is the hour in support of the First Unitarian Church of Toledo. Contact Sue Childers for more information. Remember, September 10th, rummage sale, declutter, donate, and have lots of fun. And now for our opening words. This reading is Toward a Place of Wholeness by Viola Abbott. We are Unitarian Universalists. when we lift up our 7 principles and the proposed 8th one we'll hear about today, some of us think of them as a form of theology, but they are more important to our collective than that. They do not tell us what we should believe. They tell us how we should be. They tell us how we should act in the larger world and with each other. We are brought here today by the fact that Unitarian Universalism has fallen short of the image that was presented to the world and to many of those who embrace this religion. But we are also brought here today by the truth that Unitarian Universalism has shifted course to move toward a place of wholeness, a place that perhaps never existed for us as a denomination. It has been a long and sometimes unforgiving road to today, but we are here today because we are mindful of the past and because we have hope for the future. We want the practice of this faith to be a fulfilling manifestation of its promise. Open your heart, seek new ways of understanding. Come, let us be together in this Sunday service.
And as Karen lights the chalice, I have these words, A Soul Fire by Anastasia Barosh. As we light this flame of hope, may our congregation become a kaleidoscope of souls and people. An abstract flame-like pattern in bright gold colors and a black background. In the presence of this flame, in me, in you, in us, is an invitation to sit at the table. May we tend our soul fire through these challenging and trying times to open the hearts and minds of all who enter our doors. And now please join me in reciting the covenant of this congregation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And now, if you'll excuse me, I'm moving over here for our opening hymn. The hymn is number 113, Where is Our Holy Church? Perhaps unfortunately for me, it has 5 verses, but they're short. And I will try to strum along first, and we'll stumble upon the melody as we get to it. Where is our holy church, where race and class unite, as equal persons in the search for beauty, truth, and right? Where is our holy writ, where'er a human heart the sacred torch of truth has lit, by inspiration taught? Where is our Holy One? A mighty host respond, The people rise in every land to break the captive's bond. Where is our holy land? Within the human soul. Wherever free minds truly seek with character the goal. Where is our paradise? In aspiration's sight, wherein we hope to see aright the 1,000 years of life.
Good morning. Our story for today is called The Three Maries. It is by Teresa Honey Youngblood. My maternal grandfather was one of 7 children, 4 girls and 3 boys. All 3 of the boys grew up to marry women named Marie. These women were all born in the 19-teens when the name Marie was in the top 20 as recorded by the Social Security Association, but it always struck me as uncanny just the same. Similarly, growing up in the 1980s, my younger sister was one of 4 close-knit friends, all named Katie. Their given names were variations on Catherine and Kathleen and such, but all went by Katie, and again, it struck me as uncanny. But was it really? My grandparents were of German Catholic and Irish Catholic descent. My mother married my father, an Irish Catholic man. They moved us into a neighborhood that literally shared a property line with the Catholic Church in our suburb. Both Marie and Katie are, of course, traditional European and specifically Irish Catholic names. What once struck me as an amusing coincidence, I now recognize as evidence of our very profound segregation, of our family's unwitting, generations-long participation in the structural racism that kept white people set apart, often in the areas with better resources, and people of color in the areas that are left. Neighborhood friends, school friends, church friends were all drawn from this very narrow pool of individuals. In overt and covert ways, I was trained by my culture to see this as normal. It took me 37 years to recognize that I had been cloistered off from the beauty, the richness, and the heartbreaking complexity of other people's experiences. My humanity had atrophied. I have now so much to learn and do, and some nights I lie awake mad at myself and the system I was raised in for the lengths we go to stay comfortable at other people's expense.
Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. Gods are gonna trouble the water. See that host all dressed in white. Gods are gonna trouble the water. The leader looks like the Israelite. Gods are gonna trouble the water. You better wade in the water. Wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. See that band all dressed in red. God's gonna trouble the water. Looks like the band that Moses led. God's gonna trouble the water. You better wade in the water. Wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. God's gonna trouble the water.
Please join me for a time of meditation, contemplation, and prayer. Our words today are Holy Discomfort and Holy Disruption by Kiakiali Bordner. I'm too much of myself, discomforting the privileged in the name of wholeness, in the name of holy discomfort, in the name of holy disruption. I'm too much of myself to be complicit. I know better. I lift my light. Shake loose the comforted, disrupt the stale status quo of harmful culture. I know better. Disrupt the stale status quo with words, with actions, some mumbled into my breathing, some simple as forgiveness, some hurled as curses and cries, some as complicated as love, some woven as tightly as a shield, some in community, some gentle as a prayer, some all on my own. I'm too much of myself. I bring my sharp edges, my holy anger, my holy love for the interconnected holiness, wholeness of all. I disrupt the casual oppression, the covert slight, refuse the passive aggressive deflection, refute the excuse of racist tradition. No discomfort of the oppressor matters here. Black lives matter here. Indigenous sovereignty matters here. The margins are the center here. I know better. I do better. Sometimes I build small bridges just so between people. Sometimes I draw closer to disconnected circles until their new Venn diagrams create community. Dismantle harmful cultures, allow evolution, provide for the discomforted, shine bright. You know better. Be explicit. Together we are never too much. Disrupt in the name of holy wholeness. Discomfort in the name of holy wholeness. Bring all of ourselves in the name of holy, of wholeness. And let's observe 1 minute of silence. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots only close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
The reading for today is a responsive reading titled 8 Principles in Action by Kia Kiali Bordner. If you would respond with the italicized portion, that would be great. We, Unitarian Universalists of the First Unitarian Church of Toledo, honor the 8 principles of our shared Unitarian Universalist faith. The inherent worth and dignity of every person. Justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. Acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. A free and responsible search for truth and meaning. The right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. The goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. Journeying towards spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions.
As proposed to the Unitarian Universalist Association, we, the member congregations of the Unitarian Universalist Association, covenant to affirm and promote journeying toward spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions. and as adopted in Canada, we, the member congregations of the Canadian Unitarian Council, covenant to affirm and promote individual and communal action that accountably dismantles racism and systemic barriers to full inclusion in ourselves and our institutions. I have preached on the 7 Unitarian Universalist principles, and it seems only right that I include this proposed 8th principle in the series, as it has been already adopted by many congregations in the United States, though not nationally by the UUA yet, according to our process in bringing it before General Assemblies. And it has been adopted, as you heard, by the Canadian Unitarian Council. Plus, with the principles in the process of review and a possible rewriting, there is a UUA pledge to include the content, if not the precise wording, in the revision. You could say that, though not formally adopted, we now have the 8th principle in kind of a common law way. Societally, we are in a reckoning time, recognizing the call that Black Lives Matter, because there has been so much discrimination against people of color, especially Blacks in the US, and that discrimination can be deadly, as we see in ongoing police shootings that disproportionately target Black people. Unitarian Universalists are getting real about acknowledging systemic discrimination, including racism, all over society, and including in our own religious movement, and going beyond Black Lives Matter, though centrally there. There's some radical work being done in UUA executive offices and in our congregations to make major changes toward inclusion immediately, rather than with the slow change of time that has put us more than 50 years after Martin Luther King Jr.'s work toward civil rights, and still seeing much of what held forward movement back then still going on today. The passage of so much time and the seemingly small changes over such a period are barriers to beloved community, and diverse, multicultural beloved community is one of the goals of our religious work. Beloved community is kind of a churchy phrase, nice sounding, but what does it actually mean? I've liked the words of the late John Lewis, a civil rights leader who became a long-term member of Congress. On a PBS documentary about him, this was on the back of his campaign t-shirts. The beloved community is an all-inclusive society based on simple justice that values the dignity and the worth of every human being. Some might think these words are already in our Unitarian Universalist organizing documents. All-inclusive is important. And in our nation, even if there is better inclusion of different people and origins, it hasn't been all-inclusive and won't be for a long time to come. The UUA is being more inclusive, and it's uncomfortable for some people, and including even people experiencing barriers to opportunity that they hadn't up to now been exposed to themselves. As a white male baby boomer, for example, I'm no longer at the top of the list in many ways for Unitarian Universalist leader involvement. But I also recognize that it's time for others to take many positions of leadership. I'm not yet riding off into the sunset. We from historic majorities must continue to be involved, part of being all-inclusive after all, but also find new ways than tradition to make our Unitarian Universalism matter and better able those who don't come from the set traditions to be fully active too. The new principle says we're journeying toward spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community. Journeying says that our work is underway. Spiritual wholeness means that without beloved community in our vision, we won't be complete in spirit. Our holy church is in formation, we might say, while we're also realizing that our comfortable church hasn't been whole, and we can't return to the past for change to happen in its own time. Our knowing now that comfortable effort isn't enough to effect change. We didn't keep the momentum of the civil rights movement so strong in the 1950s and 1960s. And that's been a detriment to ourselves, our church, our nation. We can still be comfortable, but not in isolation. Beloved community would bring a different but good comfort, wouldn't it? And the call from this principle to do that is our actions. Change doesn't happen without us. There's another part to this proposed principle that makes it more than our working toward a goal for beloved community. The other part is accountability. We can't just have words about anti-racism and anti-oppression. We must show our work. How has the system changed by our journeying? Are we identifying the systemic barriers to full inclusion? And if our work isn't accountable, not just in a ledger sheet demonstration of numbers showing conditions have been improved by our involvement, but also in our relationships with, to, as part of, and separate from people who suffer from racism and other forms of oppression. Accountability can be foundational and can make outsiders want to join in, which again builds beloved community. Will we reach the point that it's not a them we're allied with, but in our life, loves, work, ways, it's become us? With individual distinction, but collective, even systemic togetherness. That's beloved community, isn't it? A new principle, a guiding statement for Unitarian Universalism that identifies what's needed, accountably dismantling racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions. That's personal, that's church, and that's organizational. Not just don't be a racist person, not just we make our church the beloved community, but also the institutions, including government, education, big business, the private sector. Don't talk about changing the world. Go ahead and change it. That is the aim of this new principle. So be it.
This reading for the offering is by Victoria Weinstein. The purpose of the church is to encourage all who gather there to grow more generous in spirit and in action. This is the great end of all the world's faith traditions, to bring the human being closer to the divine by acts of creation and compassion. We now take an offering that allows us to exercise that all-important generosity in spirit, an offering that will support this self-supporting church and its ministries. The gifts of the congregation are gratefully received. You can give electronically by going to our website, uutoledo.org, click on Give, and then click on Online Giving. You can also mail a check to the church at First Unitarian Church of Toledo, 3205 Glendale Avenue, Toledo, Ohio, 43614. Or here you are welcome to leave your gift in the basket on the table out in the lobby. We are very grateful for your contributions.
And coming soon, next week at our 9:45 a.m. Spiritual Forum, last I heard the topic has not yet been set. So it could well be an open discussion, though there's the possibility that we'll find a video to watch and then talk about. That's at 9:45. The next week at the 11 a.m. Sunday service is Experiencing Mystery and Wonder. Having completed the 7 principles and the proposed 8th in this summer series, we'll move to the first of the 6 sources of our Unitarian Universalist living tradition.
And after this service today, you are invited to join us in Fellowship Hall, which is straight down the hall to your left, for coffee hour, social time. So please join us for that. And our closing words today are Be About the Work by Andrea Hawkins Camper. May we see all as it is, and may it all be as we see it. May we be the ones to make it as it should be. For if not us, who? If not now, when? This is answering the cry of justice with the work of peace. This is redeeming the pain of history with the grace of wisdom. This is the work we are called to do, and this is the call we answer now, to be the barrier and the bridge, to be the living embodiment of our principles, to be about the work of building beloved community, to be a people of intention and a people of conscience.
And as Karen extinguishes our chalice, I have these words. As we send the flame of our chalice into the community, let the belovedness we build go with it, making our spiritual journey toward wholeness good travel for us and for all whom we meet.
As you go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in peace. Know our love is with you always. As you go, as you go. go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in peace. Our love is with you always. As you go, as you go, as you go, as you go.